Hey folks, hope you're doing well. It's pretty rainy outside, and I just got off the phone with my good friend Michael, and we're trying to figure out what are we going to do if we can't have the field day part of the nutrient and irrigation management meeting. You know, we were planning to go out to the field and look at this cool experiment that Michael set up, planting cover crops on the beds. And then I was going to talk about the planter that we use to do that. And I said, well, hey, Michael, what if we just take a little video, kind of do a walk around of the planter, and I can kind of describe some of the different features of it. So I figured that's what we'll do. We'll head out to the field. I got my vehicle keys here. And we'll do a walk around of the grain drill, and then we can show that at this upcoming nutrient and irrigation meeting. Anyway, you ready to go? Let's go check it out. So here we are in my fancy little electric vehicle. This thing's pretty awesome. It's a Chevy Bolt EUV electric utility vehicle. Pretty helpful. Anyway, we'll head out there and we'll see what we can see in the grain drill. It's in the barn, should be nice and dry, and I can get some good pictures out there. Coming up here to a section of the road where there's often a lot of flooding, so I gotta be a little careful up here. I was able to get through here earlier today, so it should be fine to go now. But I've seen this area really badly flooded before. Okay, so 10 minutes ago, this road had no water on it over here. And I'm not quite sure if this electric vehicle can make it through there because the clearance is not very high. This kind of explains why we need to have more cover crops in the furrows of all of our beds. There's no way I'm going through that. That would not be a good idea. So I gotta find a different route to go. Anyway, that route there it's amazing because literally I came through there about 10 minutes prior and there was basically no water on the road. And then I came back again and it was, you know, at least a foot deep and climbing. So we're gonna go a different way. I'm a good swimmer, but I'm not that good of a swimmer. Right now I'm on Old Stage, just continuing along here. And I sometimes wonder what the soil around here looked like way back in the day when this stagecoach was put in, or when this Old Stage road was first developed. I would imagine the soil was actually better back then than it is now, and a lot of that could have been because of soil erosion that's occurred over the years and years due to lack of cover cropping on a lot of these fields. I mean, when you drive along and you see brown water coming out of a field, that's not just water coming out of the field, that's clay particles that are in the water, which is the most important part of the soil. That's the like the gold. It's like the fat of the land that we're losing when the rain is coming down and washing all that beautiful clay component of the soil into the water. It goes down to the Salinas River and then out to Monterey Bay. That's not a good thing. One of the things about the DG soil, this decomposed granite soil over here on the east side, is that the clay concentration is super low. You know, it's generally less than 10%. And so you want to try to save all that clay. You don't want all the clay washing out of the soil and just leaving you with sand left. That would not be a good situation. You're going to have a hard time growing good crops there. Pulling up here to the USDA. We'll be over there at the grain drill shortly. We've arrived, folks. Now we just got to walk a little ways. All right, let's go for a walk here, folks. So we're at the USDA. We're in the organic section here. I got a few cover crops that we can see on the way as we walk over to the grain drill. This is actually a mustard rye mixture. And then over here we've got, this is actually a mixture of rye and triticale, as well as some common vetch and purple vetch. Hope you're enjoying this field trip. Kind of a different field day, right? That's our hedgerow there. We use that for beneficial insect habitat. All right, just about there. This cover crop planter, this grain drill that I'm going to show you, is probably one of the most important tools that I bought many years ago when I started doing research here back in 2001. This thing's been amazing. Works well with several different size tractors. All right, let's check out this beautiful grain drill. Okay, so this is a 3-point grain drill. It's a 15-foot wide drill. It's got 28 drops. These are drops, these are seed lines. So 28 seed lines in a 15-foot section. We had a few modifications made to it, but normally it comes with 30 different drops, so at 6-inch spacing. The 3-point A-frame just connects right there. Let me kind of walk you through a few different features of the drill. Okay, so it's a pretty nifty tool, and it's got a lot of different features that make it really good for planting on flat fields or even on a bed. Okay, so let's kind of start with the real basics here. Let's get up on the drill. So what we got, that's the large hopper. Actually, I wonder if I can turn some lights on. Let me try that. Hold on. All right, folks. Now we're in business. I didn't know if the lights would still turn on. Anyway, we've got the lights on. Let's check out this beautiful drill here. So, Great Plains, as I told you, 15 feet wide. And what we got here are 2 different hoppers. So the seed can go into 2 different places. So it's got a big hopper for planting crops like, Merced rye. Most of your cover crops you plant in the Salinas area. And then down here we also have what's called a small seed hopper. Okay, so this small seed hopper right here, this works well for things like mustard, really small seeds, alfalfa. It just allows you to plant at a little different seeding rate, often lower rates than you would normally do with a bigger hopper. Now, this drill's got some research modifications. So these things are called seed cones. We just use those to bypass the hopper when we're doing seeding rate trials where we need to have a lot of control and ability to change the seeding rate, very easily. So in my long-term trial, we were actually doing seeding rates like 10 pounds of mustard an acre in one little plot, and then 350 pounds an acre of a rye legume mixture. So in a situation like that, these seed cones allow us to change the rate that we're planting at, change the seed, and do it all without stopping the tractor. Okay, so let's go down and I'm going to show you a few different features on the drill. Okay, so this drill has got double disc openers. So down here, these double disc openers are what the seed from the large hopper comes down through. So the seed comes down from this tube right here, and it drops out over here, right kind of in the back of the double discs. Here's the hose for the small seed hopper. So the small seed hopper actually drops the seed way in the back here. And that's so that you don't have to get the seed buried as deep. So that small seed hopper allows you to have a lot more seeding depth control, at least for small seeds. Now, behind the double disc opener, there's this press wheel. And each of these press wheels have got the ability to adjust it. So if we move this little adjustment thing forward or back, we can change the depth that just this seed line is planted. Say, for example, this is the drive wheel of the planter right here, this one. And sometimes we want to have the seed put a little bit deeper there because the soil has compacted this wheel has compacted the soil. And so we can adjust just the discs right here to plant a little bit differently than, say, in this other section. Another cool thing about this drill is that you can change the seeding rate several different ways. You can change using this slide thing here. This little section down here, this will change when I slide that shaft. So that shaft, this controls how much seed is feeding out of the drill. So that's a simple way to adjust that. So if we slide this way down, that closes the feeding of the seed from this big hopper. And if we move it this way, it increases. So you've got that control, and there's a whole calibration chart for that. So that's one way to change the seeding rate. The other way is to use this gearbox. So we got 4 different gears, 1, 2, 3, 4. Just say I got the seeding rate here set for 80 pounds an acre on the slide, and I want to double my seeding rate. All I got to do is change the gear, and that will change the speed at which this drive wheel, which drives the shaft inside the drill, it'll change the speed that turns, and that goes through all this chain here, and that increases my seeding rate. So this is a very nifty way that you can easily adjust and change seeding rates in addition to using this slide right here. Another kind of cool feature on this drill, if we come down in here and check this out, is that there's these things called seed cups, and you can adjust, you can easily clean the drill out by opening this all the way up, and the seed will just fall out from the big hopper up here. But you can also adjust the how much this thing is cupped, so whether or not it's way down or way up, and you do that based on the size of the seed. So that gives you another adjustment in terms of just kind of fine tuning. Now, when we plant this on the beds, what Michael and I have come up with is a very high-tech method. You know, we are scientists, and researchers. We got to do things super high-tech sometimes, and so what we decided to use was AI. Just joking. Actually, all we're using is a chain. Just wanted to see if you're paying attention. All right, so these chains, what do? Well, basically those chains are set up to go in the furrow of the 40-inch wide beds. You see that? We got 5 of those chains because this plants 4 beds at a time. And so we use these drag chains, which just kind of move along, and they help to keep the seed getting covered in the furrow bottoms. Now, you know, one thing probably ideally would be to have these drive wheels in the furrow, okay? But the reason they are not in the furrow, that's where the tractor wheels are. So, you know, the tractor wheels are basically right here. And so you can't have the tractor wheels hit this. Now, ideally, I guess possibly a person could modify this and stick that drive wheel way out here, you know, on the far side, so that it would, you know, drive from the furrow that you're not driving in. That might be something to consider, but I really like this drill. It cost about $15,000 back in 2001. I don't know what the price is now, but it's been an amazing tool for me to do all the cool cover crop research, at least I think it's cool cover crop research, that I've done here over the past several years. And it's been well worth every single penny that I spent on it. And I hope it's benefited you as well. So if you want to check out a bunch of my other videos on cover crops, you can just know that this beautiful Great Plains grain drill was what planted most of those trials. Anyway, take care. Hope you enjoyed this, and I look forward to any questions or comments that you might have.